Good day everyone. For today's video, we are in the Afro-Asian Literature and we are assigned to discuss about the history and its literature of India. So the history of India starts in the existence of India itself. So as it is located in the continent of Asia. So and do you know that India is the seventh largest nation around the world? It covers 2,973,193 square kilometers of water and 314,040 square kilometers of land in a total of 3,287,263 square kilometers that occupies the greater part of South Asia. The India was surrounded with the Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and the coast is southeast coast. Um, India is the second largest um, occupied with people around the world. So I mean, they are the second highest population around the world. So first is the China, which followed by the India with a total population of 1,380,004,385 people. So imagine billion of people living in India, and it was recorded that among of those people, 348,399 are migrants. So when we say migrants, these are the people moves from one place to another, meaning these migrant people are foreigners who lives in India. It could be work purposes, or they married into Indian people or Indian citizens. So these are the civilizations in India. First, the Indus Valley Civilization, the Vedic Civilization, the Buddhist era, the Gupta dynasty, and the Harshavardhana dynasty. So first, let's have the Indus Valley Civilization. So it is being said that it is the start with the Indus Valley Civilization and the coming of the Aryans. So this phase are generally described to as the pre-Vedic and the Vedic periods. So Indus Valley civilizations, which flourished between 200 2800 BC and 18 BC, had an advanced and flourishing economic system. So during this time, the earliest literary source that highlights India's part is the Rig Veda. So it is said that it is difficult to date its work with any accuracy because its basis of tradition, or they believe that the Rig Veda has ambiguous astronomical information contained with hymns. So in an era of development and prosperity, civilization unfortunately came to an end by around 1300 BC, mainly due to natural calamities. So these natural calamities or disasters washed away the fertile lands and killed the animals. So after those disasters came to India, the land became dry and fertile. So crops became malnourished, and also with the animals, mainly those grass eaters na animal. So the richness of the valley gradually decreasing. So example for we have this. The Indus scripture is the writing system developed by the Indus Valley civilization, and it is the earliest form of the writing known in the Indian subcontinent. So the origin of this script is poorly understood. This writing system remains undeciphered, or not everyone has the privilege to understand what is this script all about, because usually this script is um, usually being studied by the people who are professional already, or they have the they have money to enter the school who teach this kind of script, or the people can read this script is only those educated people. So examples of Indus writings are found on seals or on seal impressions, pottery, and bronze tools, or in stoneware, bangles, bones, shells, ladles, ivory, and even in small tablets made of steatite and bronze and copper. So this one is um, example of the examples of writing in the scripts in pottery, in ladles, in bronze, in shells, in shelters, or in bangles or stonewares. And then let's move to the Vedic civilization. Um, it was named after Veda, derived from the root word Ved, means to know, which depict the early literature of the Hindus. So the two greatest epics of this period were the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, which still held in great reverence by the followers of Hinduism. So after the fall of the Indus Valley civilization is the time of the rise of the Vedic civilization. So the next that India saw as the Vedic civilization flourishing along the river of Saraswati, named after the Veda, which derived from the derived from the root word Ved, means to know. So and then the Rig Veda is a collection of 1,228 hymns divided into 10 mandalas. So these are the earliest compositions and depict the life of the early Vedic people in India. So the background here is the Rig Veda manuscript, or the Vedic text. It is the oldest and most important script of um, of the Vedic religion. So as I said earlier, it is sacred. And then the third civilization is the Buddhist era. So next, the time of the Mahajanapadas, which were the 16th great powers during the 7th and the 6th centuries BC. So prominent powers at the time were the Sakyas of Kapilavastu and the Likhavis of Vishilai. So Buddha, whose original name was Siddhartha Gautam, was born in Lumbini near Kapilavastu. So um, next civilization is the Buddhist era. So um, Buddhism is one of the most followed religions around the world nowadays. Although it was divided into a number of different traditions, but these traditions share a common set of fundamental beliefs. So what's this fundamental beliefs? These these beliefs have its central belief of Buddhism is the reincarnation, or the concept of that people can reborn after their death. So in this Buddha, whose real name is Siddhartha Gautama, was born in Lumbini near Kapilatsu, and he died at the age of 80 in 480 BC. But his teachings spread throughout southern and eastern Asia and are followed across the world today. So um, I browsed another source and I read the basic teachings of Buddha and its core to Buddhism. So they have three universal truths and four noble truths and the eightfold path. So let's talk it more later. Buddhism has made unforgettable contribution and influence upon Indian life. So it's spiritualism and opinion and sentiment. So that Buddha's word of mouth has had exercised its potential influence on the essence of quintessential culture of India over the centuries. So is indeed undeniable, and it is also attested that the literatures in the major languages of India have received inspiration in some way or the other from Buddha and his teachings in their literary and philosophical treatment. So the interrelationship of Buddhism with a particular literature and how it has reacted towards Buddhism and Buddhist principles in the different periods of Indian history is what makes every sort of literary works interesting and captivating. So Buddha's words were picked up and loved in the society by every commoner as reflected in the literary words, thus once more stressing upon the fact that Buddhist influence of Indian literature has been too much prized to ever let it go by the drain. So much was this Buddhist influencing that Indian literature gave rise to a particular band of writers, composers, and thought leaders in the Aptian regional languages inspired for a lifetime. So this is now the three trainings of practices taught by Buddha. First is the sila. Um, these these three are the teaching or the core teaching of Buddhism. So these practices are the sila. It is the virtue conduct or conduct of morality. This is based on the two fundamental principles. If you could remember, the principle of equality, meaning all living entities are equal, and the other principle is the principle of reciprocity. So this is the golden rule in Christianity, which to do unto others as you would wish them to do unto you. So, and then the second is the samadhi, concentration, mediation, and mental development. So it is the practice developing one's mind in the path to wisdom, which leads to personal freedom. So I mean, it is right that our mental also develop and strengthens our mind, and it helps us control our emotions. And the last practice is the prana. It is the discernment or insight, wisdom, or enlightenment. So it is according to Buddha believers that prana is the real heart of Buddhism. So wisdom will emerge if your mind is pure and calm. So Buddhism always find virtues in any ways. Then he got this four noble truths, which number one is dukkha, meaning life is suffering. So for suffering is this is so real and universal that to us it happened to anyone who has that can be caused from loss, sickness, pain, failure, or even as we have our own suffering. So it's very true. It's very realistic, and in life, not all the time we are happy or are we always have this point that um, we feel empty. Okay, and the next is the uh, samudaya. It says there is a cost of suffering. So, um, suffering is due to attachment. It is our desire to have or to control things, can be in our sensual pleasure or the desire of fame, the desire to avoid unpleasant sensations such as jealousy or envy, fear, and anger. That's it. And the third is the Neruda that said there is an end to suffering. But the big question is that how can we end suffering? So, how can we end suffering? Is relating to noble truth number two. Suffering is an attachment. Well, attachment can be, we can overcome it. Yes, that's true. We can overcome sufferings. We can move on. The mind of a person can experience a complete freedom. How? That's another question. By letting go of your desire that gives you suffering. Let go of your or let go of your jealousy, your envy, your anger, and always follow the eightfold path. So the eightfold path are number one, the samadhi, or the understanding the four noble truths. So it is the right view to understand the noble truths. And then next is the sama sankappa, the right thinking. So if you are in a right thinking, of course, it is easy for you to follow the right path in life. That's why we have these aspirations, which is uh, the true desire to free ignorance and hatefulness that once destroyed our mindset. And then the third is the samavaka, or the right speech. No lying, no criticism, no condemning, no gossip, and no harsh language, of course. So, right speech can help you avoid hurtful words that can be offensive to the others. And the fourth one is the sama kamanta, or the right conduct. So, when we talk about right conduct, we are talking about right action. And then the fifth is the sama ajiva, the right livelihood. So meaning it is supporting yourself without harming others. So I have this favorite line comes from our coach. Um, you don't have to blow others' candle just to make your candle shines. Or you don't have to blow others' candle just to make your candle lights brighter. That's the Sama Ajiva. And then number six is the Sama Va, Vayama, or the right effort. It promotes good thought, and it helps you conquer evil thoughts. So bad qualities should be eliminated, and to achieve this path, the Sama Vayama to achieve this path, the Sama Vayama is should be implemented. Okay, and then the next eightfold path is the Samasati, or the right mindfulness. So it is the awareness of our body, mind, and feelings. It focuses one's attention, feelings to overcome hatred and sufferings. And then lastly, the Sama Samadhi, right concentration. So it helps meditate to achieve a higher state of consciousness in a way to realize a true understanding of imperfection, impermanence, and um, non-separateness. So these are the contributions of Buddhism in influencing the culture of the Indians. So next will be the Gupta dynasty. And the next civilization is the Gupta dynasty. So this Gupta dynasty's founder is still in an open debate. So many historians said that the founder was Chandragupta, but others said that the real founder was his grandfather, Siri Gupta. So going back to the Gupta dynasty, or the Gupta period rather, it has been referred to as the golden age of the Indian history. So when Chandragupta received the gift of Pataliputra in a way of dowry when he got married to the daughter of the chief of the Lichaves, he started to lay down his foundation of his empire, which extended from the river Ganges, or the Ganga, to the city of Allahabad. So he ruled for 15 years and has also referred to as the King of Kings for his strategic conquests and the flourishing state of India. So like all kings before and after him, Chandragupta had to deal with the issues of his country. So in the issues of success, especially when he grew old and weak, because people is questioning him if he can still rule his at his old age. So in most cases, usually the emperor or the king chose his eldest son to continue, but to continue the duty or to rule the dynasty. But then he opted but since he doesn't have this favor of his son, he opted to choose the most capable among of his offspring. So he did not choose his eldest son, but rather chose Samudragupta instead of Ramagupta. And then um, Gupta period was considered as the golden age of the Indian literature. So the wonderful literature was produced in prose, poetry, drama, grammar, and it is the noticeable product of the system of education and learning. So the Puranas preserve the traditions, legends, the moral codes, religious and philosophical principles. So they are 18 in number, and then the Puranas is literally meaning, it has its meaning ancient old, is a vast genre of Indian literature about a wide range of topics, particularly about legends and other traditional lore. So they also have known for its intricate layers of symbolism depicted within their stories. While the Simritis are the metrical text containing the rules and regulations and laws for the guidance and governance of the society. So some of the Smritis or the law books were also compiled in the Gupta period that throws light to the general and social economic rules and regulations of the period. So, Simerites are made of Dharma Sutras and Giraya Sutras of the Vedic literature. So they are written in verse. So in addition, they are in additions and alterations that is suitable in the society. So the Kalidas has written the best work in poetry, drama, as well as in prose. So, and the next dynasty is the Harshavardhana dynasty. So, how does this Harshavardhana dynasty impacted or influenced the Indian literature? So, Harshavardhana dynasty. So, after the downfall of the Gupta Empire in the North India, the most prominent or the most powerful or the most strong dynasty was the Harshavardhana dynasty. So, by the king Harshavardhana, who assumed that the throne that Thaniswar and Kanawi after his brother died. So, while successful in a few of his conquests, he eventually got defeated by the Chalukya kingdom of the Deccan India. So, he was also well known for his establishing strong relations with the Chinese. He also for having high religious tolerance and strong administrative capabilities. So, um, after ruling over most parts of the North India for more than 40 years, King Harshavardhana left for the holy abode. So, but since he did not have any heirs or successor, um, his empire collapsed and disintegrated rapidly into small states. So this time is the mark as the mighty end of his dynasty or the Harshavardhana dynasty. So we have here the Indian literature. So the Indian literary tradition is the oldest in the world. So it is primarily one of verse and essentially oral. So the earliest works were composed to be sung or recited and were so transmitted for many generations before being written down. For a moment. Most literary pieces are in Sanskrit or the oldest extant Aryan language, or a small portion was written in Prakrit, or it is called a vernacular form of Sanskrit. So we have here the Kali. It is portrayed outstanding Lord Shiva. This fall under the Buddhist era. So she is the dark lord, or the dark demon of the Hindu, if the Buddha uh, period. So we have here the Mahabharata. It is one of the two major Sanskrit epics of ancient India. So Mahabharata is, and finally we have here the Mahabharata. So it narrates the struggle between the two groups of cousins in the Kurukshetra war and the fates of the Kaurava and the Pandava princes and their successor, or the inheritor. So Mahabharata contains philosophical and devotional material such as the discussion of these four goals of life. So Mahabharata contains these four goals in life. So number one is the Dharma, or the righteousness and moral values. It talks about a helping mentality, respect, justice, honesty, that are referring to kindness or to righteousness. And next is the Artha. Excuse me. It is the prosperity economic values. So this can be, this can be the evaluation of purchase, such as reliability, sustainability, efficiency status, and the cost on how you manage, or how will you improve your economic status. So and next, the third one is the Kama. Um, in other words, it is the pleasure or love or psychological values. So it is your desire or pleasure. So it is very practical for the Hindus part of their life. So and then the moksha, liberation, or the spiritual values. This can be done in the concept um, of liberation itself, or to release of religious traditions, or in simpler words, this is the enlightenment of the Hindus. So the book was compiled between in third century before BCE and the 3rd century CE. So when the oldest preserved part, not much older, around 400 BCE. So this epic is known as the longest epic in India. It is composed of about 1.8 million of words in total. So imagine millions of words. And yet, if we are giving to an if we are asked to make an essay, we are complaining in just about 300 words. So imagine this book is compiled with, or it is composed with 1.8 million words in total. So that's the Mahabharata. And Mahabharata is the is the the discussion of goals in life. It's kind of lessons that a Hindu should practice to improve his life. So the lesson that I learned for today is that I agree with the Mahabharata. Yes, it is very important for us to to learn about this so-called goals of life, because it is the only way that we can be a better version of ourselves. We can be a better person to everyone in our environment, and also we can influence younger generations to become a good role model to the next generation. I hope you have learned something in my report. So that's all for today. God bless.